Sir?
If you want to, we're not sure to see
Ah, okay.
Oh, that's I am going to a conference in May. Okay. She signed up for and she can't. She still goes. I'm still wants to be in the Trump White system, but some say I'm conference. Good to know.
No, it's gonna work. It's just I'm just gonna send it.
We have anybody to rest you just to go
Oh,
after.
well, that's fine. Okay, good. Thanks. Okay. I don't know how I'm gonna monitor. Okay, looks like I can see it from here because it's gonna be a lot of. Okay, that's enough. Okay, wow, we have a nice turnout today. Here's our agenda. Back to the old methods. Whiteboards. Welcome, and we're gonna get rolling. We got our stream going, so, and some people can hear us, so that's good. Aaron, sorry, I just said Aaron on the screen. Rita Bloom's gonna start by introducing Andrew, who's first on our agenda today.
Just for the record, if that was a mistake with Erin Carrillo, I'm totally okay with being confused.
Her name's right there.
So I have no voice and nobody wants to listen to this for an extended period of time, me included. So I'm going to introduce Anne really quickly. Good morning, everybody. The reason Anne is here to talk to us is a direct outgrowth of the professional concerns listening sessions and some of the stories people were sharing with us and some of the concerns people were bringing to us. We thought it might be really good to have a review of what you can do in a practical, pragmatic way if you have a concern that you would like some action on, because we are totally happy to hear and to try and arrive at solutions, but there are formal channels that we would like to highlight. Just before I have Anne come up, I want to say next week we have another professional concerns listening session. It is Tuesday, April 5th at noon here in Memorial 362. That basically constitutes the professional concerns update. I'm going to get out of the way now and let you talk. Thank you for coming in.
Okay, so I need to make sure I'm on the screen.
It's a little bit of a delay, but I think you're in a good spot.
I'm in a good spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to do a quick introduction. I think I met pretty much everybody in the room, but just in case. I'm Anne Murphy-Lam. I am the HR manager for GLS. I've been here about 15 months now and very excited to be here. Before that, I've been on campus about 15 years now, which I can hardly believe. I've been working actually with librarians for quite a few years because I worked at SLIS for quite a while as their department administrator, so I know some people through that as well. I'm just coming today, I'm just going to do a quick talk about some avenues that you can go down if you want to talk about some concerns, both professional and personal, because we know sometimes those mix up and get together. So I just take a few minutes to go over kind of 4 options you have, and then take any questions at the end. So I'll start with that, and if anybody just wants to yell at a question at me, feel free to do so. Basically, if you have a concern, one thing I'm really trying to tell people is please, please, please don't let things fester. One of the things that we run into a lot is something happens that seems small. Two people have a disagreement. It's just kind of keep bubbling up for avoiding the problem. So we're just encouraging people to really, really just talk to each other, first of all. Sometimes somebody has a bad day, they say something they don't mean, they're not entirely present in the conversation you're having. Please think about just, saying to that person, hey, can we take assessments online if you're interested? Stress. So those are pieces that you can actually do without going in for an appointment. But all that information is there for you. Again, free, confidential. Supervisors, a good point about this is you can kind of make an informal request to an employee saying, hey, I know there's a lot going on in your life. Things seem to be bothering you. Here's employee assistance. Maybe set up a time to talk to them. We encourage people to do that because there's a lot of things going on in life that at home or in other realms of their life that can affect work, and we want to make sure we have happy people all around. You can also, as a supervisor, make a formal request, say, for example, an employee kind of blows up at another employee, you witnessed it. You obviously know there's something going on here. You can make a formal request to employee assistance. And basically what you do as a supervisor, call them, say, hey, this happened, this is what I witnessed, I'm going to refer this person to you. That gives employee assistance a heads up on the situation. So when the employee does come in, the person will have some information to be able to deal with it accordingly, and also give the employee the option of disclosing to the supervisor anything that they want. There'll be a conversation about disclosure. Really, all the supervisor is entitled to know is, yes, they came to the meeting, but they don't even have to share that if they don't want to. So, but that's kind of the piece there with the formal request. There are two people right now at that office, which is Sherry Boger, who came to, I believe, the last library all-staff meeting and shared some great information. I have personally worked with her on a number of professional items, and in some cases, some personal items with employees. She's great, she's wonderful, we never had a problem with working with her. There is another gentleman, Charles Latour. He started there last fall. I don't know a lot about him, but I have heard from other people that he's really great on emotional well-being, those kind of items. So he's really focusing on the mental health and helping employees get through things like change management, which, you know, none of us know anything about around here. So those two are great options. Again, confidential. Don't even really have to tell anybody you're going unless you're in a situation where you have to report that you're off a shift for some reason. The second option is the Ombuds office. This option is, their focus is pretty much conflict management. They like to work, they work a lot with people who are having organizational concerns between supervisors and employees or colleagues. They provide unbiased feedback. It is all confidential with them as well. Really what they're there for is to empower the employee to make their own, to find their own solutions to a problem. So when you go in there, you check in with them, they will go through your situation or your issue. They'll help you clarify what the issue is, and they'll help you find ways to mediate that. On occasion, they will step in if requested by the employee to talk to a third party, but that's only on the express condition of the employee or the visitor to that office. They also are not technically advocates for people, so they cannot step in, they do not provide legal advice, and they will step out if somebody is decides to go through a more of a formal procedure like a grievance or something like that. They will step out of the arena if that's the case. But they're a great resource if you're trying to decide if that's something you feel you need to do. They will help you work through that and decide if this is the process that you want to go down. When you can actually see their reports, but what I find interesting is 85% of the things that they talk about are dealt with between supervisor and employee. So that seems to be one of the biggest concerns they deal with, and there's several people there that I have had reports back do a really great job. Currently they have 4 people there, who is Joanne Carr, Dale Burke, Rosa Garner, and Thomas Schwab. And they have basically an unstaffed office, so you call, you leave a message, they have people checking it every day to call back and arrange appointments. The third one is the Equity and Diversity Office. This is probably the most formal of the options. They cover the gamut of what they deal with, from positive applicant pool to disability to FMLA to discrimination cases, Title IX. So this is a situation where you can call them and have informal conversations with them, which are confidential. They will talk you through options, especially in cases of, I just lost my train of thought. They will talk you through any discriminatory issues that you're having and help you decide if you want to do a formal complaint or not. They have actually really great step-by-step procedures on their website if you do decide to want to file some sort of complaint. They are confidential for the most part. They have the issue, they are required to report neglect or abuse to the law, but other than that, everything remains confidential. Now, when you get into a situation where a case has been filed or a complaint has been filed, and they deem that there's enough information to move into an investigation, obviously confidentiality is a little different because they will now be reaching out to other people involved in the conversations, but they can go through that specifically with you if you would go to that point. And the final one, as I said, was me. Nancy and I are always available to talk to you. I have an open door policy. If my door is shut, there's a really, really good reason. But I welcome anybody to just stop in if they need to, or set up an appointment with me. Everybody can see my schedule and my appointments online. I'm happy to talk with you about how do we talk, how do you want to talk to your supervisor about an issue that came up? How do you deal with a colleague when there was a kind of a discussion that got a little out of hand or something like that? I'm happy to talk about FMLA, disability. I am now a disability representative on campus, so I can go through all that with you. So I'm here, sometimes you just need to vent. Something happened. You just need to talk it through with somebody and just get through it. I'm happy to do that. I've had many conversations with people coming in. I don't expect you to do anything, but I need you to talk. I need to talk to with somebody that's a third party. Happy to do so. Again, I can't stress this enough. I will help people talk to each other, which I really am pushing because I want to create a better culture, a better environment for everybody. Sometimes these things cause a lot of insecurity. We want to avoid that if at all possible. So again, I will often help you write out a conversation or make a conversation up so you can address the issues. But I'm also ready to help supervisors with employees. I'm ready to help employees talk to supervisors and even bigger issues. So, is there any questions for me? I did pretty well. I think I did it in 10 minutes. So, is there any questions for me? Yes.
So you just talked about a lot of different organizations that are spread out across campus, not just within the GLS. Is there a place we can go to look at this list of information and see our options?
Yes, I'm working on getting an employee resources section on the HR page. So it will have all of these options with links and information. And obviously my email is out there and you can find it that way in your call.
The GLS HR page, rather
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Anne.
So up next is Tom Durkin with ASA report.
So Barb is actually in the room also because she took the notes from one of the meetings that
Did you have any?
Sure. So we don't have anything on the computer today, but I'll send out some links after the meeting's over. There is a page in the wiki where you can get to all of the notes from this fiscal year, I guess, for the academic staff assembly meetings. And so I'll send that link out and then also send out the link for the most recent notes. Those were sent out previously to everybody like about a month ago or so. I'll send them out again. I wasn't at the February meeting, so Barb's going to talk about that.
So I'm the rep for District 474. So we have 3 districts, I would say, that cover most of the librarians on the campus. And so we're sharing. Tom always does a really great job of taking the notes. Maybe not so much. But I did what I could. So I think a theme going on in academic staff assembly is sort of a self-examination. That seems to be the theme I'm seeing this year, and some of that came out in the February 8th meeting. So as an example, there is an ad hoc committee on assembly engagement. So they're trying to get us assembly reps more engaged in activities. And so there was a survey, and they were encouraging people to fill out that survey to get us more engaged. There's a committee called the Ad Hoc Committee on Selection of Committee Appointments and Nominations. So they're looking at their procedures for how they appoint people to the committees within the academic staff assembly. And I think, Tom, you were on that.
I wasn't sure.
On that group.
Yeah.
So that committee presented their report at the February 8th meeting. And that report is available online through what Tom just said. Another thing that happened There was a resolution that was voted upon and passed to recognize Darrell Pizel's service to the university. And then a report also that the search and screen is underway to hire his replacement. I don't know, I haven't heard anything
About the search.
about that after this meeting,
I
so
haven't either.
I'm not sure where that stands.
I think they usually do have an academic staff like person on those recruitment committees, but I don't know.
So all I know is they're working on it, I guess. And I think those are the main points that would affect us. There was another report about titling, but it pertained to non-tenured teaching staff, which I don't think would affect too many in our districts.
I don't think so. I don't know.
So, but again, if you're interested in that, the report is linked to the notes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. That was good. And so something I should have mentioned at the very beginning, the academic staff assembly meetings are held every second Monday of each month from 3:35 p.m. in Bascom Hall 272, which means I think the next meeting is April 11th. One of the things that is from the notes from the March 14th meeting is that they specifically mentioned at that March 14th meeting that anyone who has any questions about stuff going on campus for the chancellor, send your questions to the representatives for your district, or you can come to the meeting and you can ask a question of the chancellor right there at the meeting. So the chancellor is going to be giving a presentation sort of about the state of the university and the upcoming fiscal year at this April meeting, and they really, ASEC is the executive committee for the academic staff assembly, and they really want feedback from districts or people to come to the meeting. So from the March 14th meeting,
What was the date of that April meeting?
April 11th, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'll send that information out after this meeting's over. But so at the March 14th meeting, just a few highlights. Gary Brown is the person who is the chair, I believe, of the Campus Master Plan group. They're working on a new Campus Master Plan. Anyone who went to the old meetings back in 2005, this new Campus Master Plan is for the next 10 years. So they had a Campus Master Plan for 10 years. Now they're working on a new one. They said they're about 60% of the way through getting feedback and formalizing those Campus Master Plans. And if you're wondering what the Campus Master Plan is, it includes thoughts about the campus mission, campus spaces, buildings, parking, transportation, stormwater, utilities, so sort of like the whole campus all together. What are the future plans for construction and how campus will be organized? It encompasses many projects across campus. It looked like they had like about 30 or 40 different projects that they're all working on at the same time. One thing they did mention, everyone's always concerned about parking, and Gary Brown mentioned that there are about 24,000 staff, not even including students, so 24,000 staff eligible for parking on campus. And campus has 13,000 spaces, so obviously there's 11,000 short there. But he said we do have 11,000 bike spaces, so that's good. There will be another Campus Master Plan meeting. If you want to hear about the Campus Master Plan and provide feedback, there will be another meeting on April 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. in Cooper Hall Auditorium. And when I send out the links or the list, you'll see there's a link to the Master Plan website, and you can read more about it there. Other stuff from the last March 14th meeting, academic staff. So there was kind of a discussion between campus administration and ASEC and the academic staff assembly about all the discussions about program discontinuation and layoffs and all this kind of stuff. There was not a formal person or a place for academic staff to provide feedback as a part of that program discontinuation process, and the chancellor has agreed to let academic staff have a voice in that process. So that's good. So that's one good thing that the academic staff assembly has done. I don't know who that person will be or how that will work, but at least academic staff will have someone involved in that process now. Another significant thing, there was a report that was presented by Russell Diamond from the Ad Hoc Committee on Titling and Compensation. Art mentioned this a little bit, but I'm going to give a little bit more detail about what they talked about at the March 14th meeting. So there's a titling and compensation study that's being undertaken by the university using a consulting agency. One of the things that the campus administration wants to do is there are about 1,600 different titles that are out there for academic staff, and they want to reduce that number by about half. I have no idea how that might affect library staff, but I have a feeling like we'll still be, our titles will still be librarian. But we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. There is a proposal that has been put forth by campus administration to give all academic staff a 2% raise. But because there is no additional funding for that 2% raise, that means that staff budgets from across campus for academic staff will be cut, and then people will be laid off. And then that money will be reallocated back to academic staff line. So if you're concerned about that, that's the kind of thing that you might want to the April 11th meeting and provide feedback to the chancellor on that plan. So there you go. So that's just one thing to think about. I think those are probably the highlights from the March 14th meeting. Does anybody have any questions for either Barb or myself about any of the stuff that we presented?
Could you go over that?
So actually, on that last one, Tom,
Yeah.
the meeting, it seemed like that was something that was coming out of the assembly, but Provost Mangelsdorf said she sort of kind of gave it the no nod as.
So if you remember, Russell Diamond was saying that, what I remember, so again, we'll have to wait until the minutes actually come out.
Sure.
That seemed like to me that the ad hoc committee, that they were agreeing with the potential proposal that was coming from administration about this 2% raise. It seemed like it was kind of coming like from both sides, that the idea came from the administration, but that the committee was saying that they thought that it was a good idea. At least that's what I got from him.
I thought I got a different read on it.
Yeah.
We definitely need to wait until those minutes come out.
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of thing, if you have questions about that, send it to me and I will send that feedback back to Russell Diamond, and we'll, so this is a good reason for other people to come to the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like one person hears things one way and another person might hear it a different way. So, but it's something that is sort of out there. It's an idea out there on campus. So there you go.
So to add detail, that I think the issue with the proposal was that it was being set up kind of in contrast to the critical compensation funds that have been going on, and the notion to do something more lasting, and having an actual 2% raise, and then the criticism that came back from the provost. Her clarification was that they are apples and oranges because the compensation funds are one time, and that is something that the university can do, but that an actual 2% growth incurs ongoing funds that one-time layoffs or something like that doesn't necessarily cover up. It seemed like there was some contentiousness about the. Yeah.
So it is a different thing from the critical compensation fund, and there was the critical compensation fund, and then the other one, which I'm forgetting right now. It's a very similar something. Discretionary compensation fund. They're both very similar. This would be a totally different thing. This would be like all academic staff would get a 2% raise, but there is no state money for that. So there would have to be, cuts made someplace, and then money reallocated. So it would be a completely different thing. So. Any other questions about that? Yes.
The critical compensation fund and the discretionary, there was extra funds allocated?
I don't know where that money
those-
came from originally, but that was money that came from the university administration and was allocated. And I mean, we've all so this is a different thing. So
Right.
I think if you have questions about critical compensation fund or discretionary compensation fund, I would talk to the HR office for more information about that.
I believe that they come from our cuts, right? So we take a personnel cut.
Okay.
So it did come from our,
Right.
so it's hard to understand how
And
they're
then they give
different.
a little bit back.
Right, it's just that a
They use it in
2%
this way.
would be a much bigger amount of money, whereas these are a smaller amount of money.
One of the things they did mention was they're trying to come up with ways to discourage people from leaving campus because they've noticed that there have been a certain number of people who have opted to move on to other institutions outside Wisconsin. So I'm not going to give my personal opinion, but you'd have to think, would a 2% raise stop somebody from leaving campus? I don't know. Maybe it would or maybe it wouldn't. Any other questions? All right.
Okay. Thanks, Tom and Barb. We got a woo Barb from online. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Hughes from College Library. I'm the co-chair along with Nancy Graf-Schultz of the ISIP steering committee. ISIP is our information specialist internship program for second and third year undergraduate students. I see at least one new person who might not know about ISIP, and I do too. So I can talk to you more about that another time in greater detail, but there's a lot of information on the public library website and the staff page about it as well. So really, I just have a really quick update today to talk to you about where the placements that our interns are currently in. So Alex is with Carla Strand, who's a first-time supervisor, yay Carla, and she's at the Gender and Women's Studies office. Jorge is with Troy Reeves at Archives, and then we have Kieran with Aaron, Carlos, and Jessica at Steenbach. We have 2 students who are in their 16-week modules, which is the kind of the capstone experience for the 2-year internship. So we have Nan, who's finishing up at College Library Open Book Collection with Pamela Elliott and a little with me. And then Tiara is still with CTS and working with Victor and Jamie Woods. So since Nan and Tiara are finishing up their 16-week placements, that means that they're going to graduate from our program at the end of the semester. So we will be celebrating their accomplishments in the first week of May, so stay tuned for information about their graduation celebration. It's usually kind of an informal event that takes place in this room where supervisors share memories of their experiences working with the interns. Anyone is invited to come, even if you've never been involved in ISIP. It's a good opportunity to meet some ISIP interns and see what they're all about and hear their passion and what they worked on with the supervisors they had over their 2 years with us. And then the only other announcement is that there will be a call for fall semester availability in the next couple of months. So if you could start thinking about if you're available or could be available to host a half semester placement, that would be great. Any questions about ISIP? All right, thank you. Thanks, Kelly, for the update. Julie, Aaron, so it was nice. You're in it. You're good.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'll first provide a quick update on the Treasury status. So we currently have $584.70 in our checking account. And we also have $59.04 in our savings. That really doesn't go anywhere. We have received an estimate for our high tea costs of approximately $379. I'm not sure whether or not that could shift a little bit, but Steve Fry will be offering an update on the high tea events. So we have enough to cover the high tea this year with a little bit extra, not a ton extra. So we'll definitely be hoping to get lots of dues at the high tea. So we encourage you to do these dues, and that helps us provide ongoing programming throughout the year, such as the Eat, Talk, Run events, coffee for our business meetings, and then the annual high tea event. Any questions about the Treasury? And then an update on the University Library Committee. So we met on March 14th, There were two major items of business during that meeting. The first was that there was a open access resolution or proposal that was presented to the Faculty Senate. Unfortunately, even though the Chancellor tried to clarify the purpose of this, it was the Faculty Senate, we were asking them to vote on a resolution to create a committee to develop an open access proposal. However, the conversation and the questions and concerns that were voiced were really about the details of a proposal itself. So we have, the issue was tabled, which is good, because this allows us more time to work on education and soliciting concerns from faculties and departments across campus. Because we really want to understand what those concerns are and address those before bringing this back to the Faculty Senate, because we don't want this to be killed. If it were to be voted down, then it would be a long time before we could bring it up again. So good thing. Watch for more news about an open access draft policy in the future.
Julie?
Yes.
What kind of questions were they asking? Do you have that information, or what kind of concerns were they raising?
Basically, the nature of their questions sort of reflected a not very robust understanding of what open access is or how it might impact them, issues related to publishing. So in some fields, for example, especially fields that tend to publish monographs, there was concern that if they are required to post their publications or journal articles in an institutional repository, that can prevent them from being able to publish a monograph later. I think like the details of the policy would hopefully certainly include those issues, and there is an opt-out option as it stands. But so lots of concerns about the details, but again, this was asking. They were voting on a resolution to create a committee that would then develop a proposal. So there wasn't an actual proposal on the table.
I was just curious where they were getting stuck before they could even get to.
Right. I think there was a lot of confusion about whether or not people would be required to submit their manuscripts for inclusion in the institutional repository, what that would look like, who gets access. There was actually another concern, which was interesting, was that folks were concerned about the impact on for-profit publishers. That our open access policy would have a negative impact on for-profit publishers, that they wouldn't be able to make as much money. So again, education will be a huge part of bringing this forward again, and also including information about how many other institutions, such as Harvard and the UC system, other large well-respected universities have instituted similar open access resolutions. So look for that coming up. And if you have questions about this, I would encourage you to talk to Carrie Nelson. She's working on that particularly. The second option or item on the agenda was Ed Van Gemmer was going to present to the Dean's Council on April 13th. So he went over some of the points that he was going to go over in terms of generating support for additional funds for the library to support collections. So there were some issues related to increased costs of subscriptions, inflationary, funding not reflecting inflationary costs in terms of collections development, collections budgets. So we went over that, and actually, I believe, oh, never mind. So anyway, that is coming up in April, and that's pretty much it. Any questions? Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay, Steve's up next. Any questions about the IT will be answered.
Thanks. So the high tea. The high tea this year is going to be Thursday, April 28th from 3 to 5 p.m. So if that's not in your calendar already, please add that to your calendar. This year, the high tea, we keep calling it the high tea. We're going to keep calling it the high tea. But the center of the high tea is going to be something new. It's the Librarians Assembly Awards Ceremony. And you all have received emails with links to surveys with 25 award categories. And we've asked you to nominate your colleagues. Please keep doing that. Okay.
You're good.
So far, 53 folks have nominated at least one of their colleagues. We have 191 nominations in 25 categories, so that's great. Keep it up. The lowest category, we have 2 nominations. The high category, we have 20. I'm not going to tell you which categories those are, because I want you to nominate in all categories. We'd like you to continue to nominate your colleagues, but we'd especially like you to nominate your university staff colleagues, previously known as classified staff colleagues. So please, if you haven't done that, please go to that survey and think of your university staff colleagues and begin to nominate those folks as well. We'll be sending out another reminder later today or early tomorrow with links to the survey if you can't find that old email. So look for that. The other change this year at the high tea is that all library staff are invited. So university staff and academic staff are invited to the high tea this year, which could change the amount of food. So eventually, what we need to figure out is how we're going to set up the RSVP this year. We haven't quite figured that out. We have a business meeting tomorrow where we'll figure that out. And then, so look for an email. People will probably ask people to RSVP, which will be especially important this year, given that it's going to be more people are going to be invited. So that'll be important. And the Librarians Assembly Steering Committee will begin to cull through the nominations probably starting next week. So again, look for an email later today. But your last chance to nominate your colleagues. Any questions about the high tea? Yes?
You pay a fee, right, to go? I mean, there's a cost.
Yeah, there's a cost.
Do you know what that's going to be?
We don't.
In the past, it's been $9.
There we go, $9, that gives you a rough.
That's
How much
what
you
it's
got?
been the last several years at least.
That's right. So let me just mention also Eat, Talk, and Run, since that's the other program we've been doing. It's going well, 3rd Fridays of each month, since we started, I think, in October of this past year. That's 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., again, 3rd Friday of every month. So if that's not in your calendar, please add that. And if you can make it, that would be great. The next one will be April 15th, from 8:30 to 9:30, and it's usually here in Memorial Commons. I'm hoping that people can begin to send us your ideas for topics. The idea is, 5 to 7 minutes or so per topic. So if you have a topic idea, please send that topic idea to Craig Cook or myself, Steve Fry. To give you a sense of, to get those creative juices flowing, here are some of the topics that we've had in the past. Baby wearing, status of U.S. government documents in campus libraries, library wiki use for staff, DIY standing desks, sift and winnow, also known as previous clue, which is a multi-tutorial for teaching new students how to do college level research. Growing dahlias, winter biking, oral history program. We have that, which was a presentation on non-book things that we circulated in our libraries. Oral history program, I've already mentioned that. Who was Dr. Marvin Sukov, which room 364 is named for in this library. Board games, Office 365 tips and tricks, therapeutic coloring, digitizing Shakespeare, 3D printing, squeeze box basics, discrete charm, the world's most hated instrument. It's fun, Julie did that. African commemorative fabric project, and UW travel policies overview. So if you have any suggestions, usually what we like to do is have one topic about something happening on campus by librarians, or the public, or for your staff members. One thing that's kind of about helping people be productive at work, and one thing that's completely non-work related. So usually we like to have topic in each of those three areas whenever we do talk.
Awesome. Any questions for Steve? So we got a big old blank spot here. Somebody wants to fill it in, and does anyone have announcements they'd like to share spontaneously?
Oh, hey,
Hey, there you go.
I got all this stuff. Since years ago, Librarians Assembly kind of gave birth to the professional development programming allowances, which are now situated in HR. Wanted to put out a call. We are looking for new members to the team. So this would be professional development programming allowances for those who haven't heard of them before. We have money to give to folks who are putting together programming. The idea here is it's bang for the buck, where if you have ideas for programming that is valuable to a whole bunch of staff, this is a channel to get money to do that. Thus far, that has been things like the NAIS webinar series that Carrie Nelson and Laura Schmidley are running, kind of administering for campus. There's also been several cataloging trainings that have kind of broad use in CPS. So webinars have been an easy sweet spot for professional development programming allowances, things where one webinar is going to serve a whole bunch of different people. So that's what PDPA does. The committee itself sees the proposals and applies an evaluation rubric to them, and then makes recommendations to HR to say, yeah, fund this thing, or inquires for more information from the person asking for the proposal, like, how might you actually plan to assess this or demonstrate, or could you give us more details about the people that this is going to be useful for, or how do you intend to advertise and market this thing to a bigger cross-section? The committee is not a huge time commitment. A lot of the functions are increasingly happening via email and getting automated. We have a nice tight rubric system that works, but we are looking for 2 more members, which is the main reason that I stand up. So the committee is composed of both university staff and academic staff, but we need at least 1 more academic staff person to join up, and 2 if you're feeling saucy, but we can go 1 and 1. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in helping facilitate the process by which we have professional development programming that happens in the GLS, and how people can share that knowledge with the broadest range of colleagues possible, then this would be a great place for you to get involved. Thanks.
Okay.
I got one, just an introduction for those who've not met.
Yes.
Our newest LPG staff member. Sitting next to me, this is Katie Sanders. Katie comes to us from the UW colleges and brings expertise in Alma, Iliad. We'll be working on Forward and other things that primarily as Kern Riley spends more time on behalf of the UW System Consortium shared systems and supporting those. The intent was to have Katie help with some of those systems that I mentioned.
Welcome. Okay, great. Thank you. Any other last minute things before I talk a little bit? So I just wanted to give the last update on the Resource Management Redesign Task Force. I am one of 6 members on that. It's myself, Kat Fawn, Karen Rotundi, Leah Bearforth, David Dodd, and Laura Martin, and we are looking at the workflows of cataloging, acquisitions, digital collection, and preservation. And we are kind of in the last few weeks of our information gathering stage, and right now we're sending emails out to those 4 particular units every week, asking questions about kind of trying to hit on pain points, things about their workflow that they can tell us. So that's happening right now, and for those of you in those units, there's a suggestion box that's going to be, it's right now in, I believe, the copy cataloging area on what's called the treat table, and it's going to be then outside of that door near the mailboxes on the 3rd floor. And if there's anyone who's outside of those divisions has any kind of information you'd like to share or input that you think that would be important to this project, feel free to email me directly, email the task force. We have a page on the wiki, and we're keeping up to date with a lot of things we're doing there. So that's where we're at. I believe that's it then. Thanks all for coming. Drink the coffee. Yeah. Okay.